Hey, this is Kat from Red Mountain Shaman, and I share shamanic wisdom through dreams, visions, nature, synchronicities, intuition, channeling, art, music, photography, and shamanic journeys. Welcome back to my channel. I feel like there is a machine in place, and it's working hard to fabricate hate, division, and anger. Its cogs are turning wheels, working hard to gain control over humanity. As this machine is being exposed and dismantled for what it is, those who want love, unity, and peace will need to come together and create a new world based on sovereignty and freedom from this machine whose wheels seem to be spinning out of control. I personally think we might see some sort of parallel worlds living side by side for a while. Two timelines, the organic path and the artificial path. The choice is ours. This may sound a bit hippy-dippy, but I really do think this is what's playing out. There is another wheel at play as well. It's the wheel of life, or the Samsara wheel, which is also constantly turning. Quote, "When someone awakens to reality, even for a moment, the world does not disappear, but it is experienced in its true nature, pure, brilliant, sacred, and indestructible. It is only when we know the cause of something that we can truly bring it to an end and prevent it from happening again. Samsara is like a sickness, but the patient must recognize the illness with its causes, symptoms, and its effects before the cure can begin. The samsara is the complete cycle of the stages of cause and effect." End quote. I personally believe we are now coming to the end of one of these cycles. So in this channeled message I'm going to share with you today, Yeshua goes a bit more deeply into this concept, and he also talks about the concept of the harvest. I originally asked him about an experience I had when I was watching a movie at home in my room with my husband, and in the middle of this movie, all of a sudden this random thought came into my head, and it just said Knights of the Round Table. And it was just so clear and crazy. Like, I was like, what does that mean? And then the next morning, I went past my son's room, and he was watching a comedy. And as I passed his door, I heard Knights of the Round Table. And I was like, oh my gosh, the synchronicity is so spot on. I knew there was something to it. So I asked Yeshua about this, like, why did I get that message? What does it mean? And he did touch on it, and he did answer. And it's pretty profound, but I was hoping he would go a little deeper into it. But he does go deeper into the samsara wheel and the harvest. So this is pretty interesting, and this is what he said. "We are connected, and you are loved. You seek clarity on why you are hearing Knights of the Round Table a couple years ago. You were being given clues leading up to what you are now learning about more in depth. This story is more than a story. As I carry this sword now, I carried the sword then. The knights were my 12 apostles. Excalibur is the sword of magic, and it is the sword of judgment. I am a god of temperance. This means I am balanced with justice and mercy. As humanity cycles through eons of growth and learning, God is universal law, and no being can ultimately escape it. Some call it karma, others call it samsara, but it is the process of death and rebirth. Death of the old and rebirth of the new. Now is the time when the wheel of samsara is turning towards rebirth. This is why many are now awakening and stepping into their divine empowerment, but some will not, as not every being is on the same cycle in their evolution. Some have in fact devolved, but as I teach, there is always opportunity for enlightenment and alignment with the divine. If loved ones venture into a new experience outside of this realm, there is no need to fear. People leave this planet for many reasons. They may have had pre-birth decisions to help awaken others by way of their exit. They may need rest from the Samsara wheel. They may need further opportunities for growth elsewhere. But the soul never dies. Energy is eternal and can be transformed or transmuted, but a consciousness is ever present and ever changing. Even the most evolved souls who have incarnated have a learning experience and evolve even further. But the time of harvest is at hand. This means that as a whole, humanity will be moving upward and onward to reunite with the God consciousness they once had and have forgotten, or they will be moving onto a path of further learning if the soul is not ready to ascend with the harvest. What is the harvest? It is a gathering of the fruit, grain, or crop that is ripe and ready. A farmer cannot harvest what is still green and developing on the vine. So those who are still in need of development will simply be allowed the time and experiences they need to ripen. I speak in this parable as it is easily digested and visualized in order to comprehend. I want you to know that when you are writing lyrics for your music, you are often channeling the higher realms or your higher self. For example, when you wrote "In the Time of the Boar," you did not know what this meant. But I tell you now, humanity is indeed in the time of the boar, in the midst of the change from the downturn of the samsara wheel to the upturn of the samsara wheel. Out of ignorance and into gnosis. This is why the earth feels so polarized and chaotic, and yet for many so alive with the thinning of the veil and the movement of the spirit within themselves. It is a shifting of the current that no soul can escape. But every soul ultimately chooses their own frequency and their own path as the wheel turns. Now back to the sword I carry, as can be seen on many ancient depictions of me. You will begin to see the magic of my sword work miracles on the earth plane as the deceivers are brought to light in many unexpected ways, so that those who question my existence will begin to see with new eyes as I strike down and unveil all that is not of Christ consciousness with blows of the Spirit for all to behold. This is indeed an exciting time for those who already know me, but allow for the awakening of the sleepers with love and patience as the shaking continues. Be kind and helpful as you assist in the healing of those who are less prepared and farther behind in their spiritual journey back to the light. Practice patience, even though you may find this difficult as a volunteer of the light. Remember, you too had to go through an awakening, and all will come back to unity within the ranks of the ripened ones who are preparing for the coming harvest. There is truth in this teaching, as many avatars of light have recorded. Beware of religions who come to sow seeds of confusion. Reconnect with your own intuition and the God within you, and the guides to discern between the teachings of the avatars of God consciousness and the deception of those who seek to control, get gain, and sever your divine connection. Until we speak again, I am Yeshua, God of old. So the song that he is mentioning in this channeling is called Year of the Bison, and it's on our last record. If you'd like to hear that song, I'll put it in the link below. But it says in the time of the boar, and so I looked up the samsara wheel, and in some samsara depictions or paintings, there's a boar, and it's running right directly at the crossroads where humanity is moving from the old cycle into the new cycle. So you can check out this painting if you just go on Google and look up Samsara wheels, and you'll see the boar. So thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a great night until our next video. I'll probably make one in the next day or week. We'll see what happens. Talk to you soon.